Okay, so let's set the scene. The year is 1977. New York City is grappling with all sorts of problems, and into this mix steps Sun Myung Moon, the founder of the Unification Church. He delivers this speech, and let me tell you, it's not your typical sermon. It's more like a spiritual gauntlet. We're going to unpack this thing, and you'll see just how powerful and demanding it is. A whole worldview delivered with an intensity that's pretty hard to ignore.
Right out of the gate, he hits his audience with this. Talk about a confrontational opening. It's not a gentle hello, it's a direct challenge. He's forcing every single person in that room to immediately question their own character, their own purpose. And really, everything that follows is built on this one provocative question.
So before he even gets to his solution, Moon first lays out his diagnosis of what he sees as a completely broken society. He basically argues that if you want to fix the world, you first have to understand what's fundamentally wrong with people. And for him, that starts with the very nature of men and women.
He kicks off his critique with this, well, startlingly blunt question about women. He frames his whole analysis around what he sees as their inherent nature and their historical role, a role that, in his opinion, has been seriously limited. He just comes right out and says it, with shocking directness. His argument is that women are naturally more inclined towards domestic life, not pioneering and adventure. In his worldview, it's men who are the primary drivers of civilization. This whole idea underpins his call for women to be, in his words, revolutionized for the sake of God.
But don't think for a second that men get off easy. After his critique of women, Moon immediately turns his attention to them. And he doesn't frame men as the heroes of civilization. Oh no, he frames them as its primary destroyers. His condemnation is just absolute. From Moon's perspective, men are responsible for history's worst atrocities. But it's more than that. He sees them as being inherently rebellious against God's will, always pushing back and resisting any kind of divine guidance.
From here, he kind of zooms out from the individual to the institution. The problem isn't just about men and women in some abstract sense. It's about the American family unit itself. He describes it as absolutely miserable, totally plagued by divorce and a lack of moral direction for young people.
So, after laying out all these problems, Moon finally presents his solution. And it's not a complicated set of rules. It's actually a single, really powerful standard that he claims can define all good and evil, and, ultimately, rebuild society from the ground up. This is the big philosophical question at the heart of the speech. He's not interested in listing sins or virtues. He wants to identify one universal principle that separates right from wrong once and for all. And here's his answer. For Moon, whether an action is good or evil has nothing to do with the action itself. It's all about the motivation. Was it selfish or was it unselfish? If you do something for your own personal gain, it's evil. But if you do that exact same thing for the benefit of others or for God, it can be good. Now, this is where the idea gets really radical. He uses the example of a whipping. An evil whipping, he says, is one done out of greed. But a good whipping? Well, that's one given to save someone's eternal life. He argues that if the motivation is purely unselfish, even a violent act can become a tool for salvation, a club that the person will later look back on as being more precious than gold. So, okay, how does this big, abstract principle actually work in real life? Moon doesn't just leave it as a thought experiment. He connects this unselfishness standard to a very concrete, all-consuming mission for his followers. And in practice, this meant absolute, total commitment. It meant witnessing, going out and actively spreading the faith. It meant fundraising, non-stop, and selling newspapers from morning till night. He describes a life so intense that people literally had to eat their meals standing up because there was no time to sit down. This wasn't just a job, it was the physical embodiment of unselfishness. The level of dedication he's asking for here is just breathtaking. He's not just talking about working hard. He's talking about a mindset where the mission is so urgent, so important, that a follower would just pick a rotten apple off the street and eat it to save time and keep going. It's about becoming, as he puts it, a beggar for God.
And the centerpiece of this whole mission was this newspaper project. Moon presented it as a kind of showdown. I mean, think about it. In a city where even the big established papers were struggling, starting a new one from scratch seemed impossible. So for his followers, making it succeed would be the ultimate proof of their unselfish devotion and the power of God.
All of this sacrifice, all this grueling, non-stop work, it all leads to a final, grand purpose. The end of the speech isn't just another call to action, it's a promise of the ultimate reward for their complete and total devotion.
He creates this really direct link. Sacrifice equals victory. In this philosophy, there are absolutely no shortcuts. Moon makes it crystal clear that the biggest goals can only be achieved through the most extreme forms of self-denial and hard work.
And the stakes couldn't be higher. This wasn't just about their own personal salvation. Their mission, as he laid it out, was to save New York City, to restore America, and, get this, to ultimately liberate God himself. By doing this impossible work, he told them they would be transformed from just ordinary people into historical figures. They would become champions of God.
And so, the speech ends not really with an answer, but with a challenge. It lays out this worldview where true purpose is only found in total sacrifice, where morality is judged only by motivation, and where the ultimate prize is playing a part in saving the entire world. It's an incredibly demanding vision that leaves us, and left his original audience, with one final question to ponder. What does it truly mean to be a champion for God?